I'll talk a little bit about Anglian Water as a company and why we feel innovation is important, and how we've moved more towards a crowdsourcing approach to driving innovation into the business. And then there's a couple of examples. One called the Water Innovation Network, which is where we started with crowdsourcing, and more recently a concept called ThinkSpace, where we've worked with Wazoku to create a more online system. And then some next steps and challenges really that face us, because we are still learning, it's still a pilot. So I'm keen to get any ideas from companies who are really further on with it than us. Anglian Water, well, we feel that without a vision, without aspirational goals, we will struggle to drive innovation. And at the highest level, Anglian Water, we feel that we've got a significant role to play in this kind of perfect storm between energy, water and food. All three are declining resources in terms of the population growth in the world. And there is a kind of strong link between energy, water and food as well. Energy, I think most of the 40% of water that's produced is used for energy generation. Food, clearly water's required for that. And as a company, we're trying to make stronger links with those industries. In terms of Anglian Water, our region itself, it's about a 200-mile by 150-mile area, starting at the River Humber down to the River Thames. And we've got particular challenges. We're a regulated industry, so Ofwat is continuously putting pressure on us to reduce customer bills. But we have got some particular challenges in the region which forces our costs up, so we've got a massive tension there. We've got the flattest area, so we've got lots and lots of pumping, so we've got no hills to gravitate water, so our pumping costs are about £30 million a year. Our energy bill is £60 million a year. We've got the highest population growth in the UK, so we have to provide services for a growing population. We're subject to climate change. It's the driest region in the UK. The average rainfall in Anglian Water is less than Jerusalem. And we're getting more extreme weather patterns. We're getting drier summers. 2 years ago, we almost ran out of water, seriously ran out of water. More recently, we've been subject to some of the wettest years, and we've had to deal with loads of water that come off the roads and things like that. So as an area, we've got lots of challenges. So we're trying to break out of this comparison to other water companies and really try to learn from other companies that do customer service really well and do innovation really well. And we've found that great. And we've got this strategy called Love Every Drop. So Love Every Drop is really about getting much closer to the community, making more positive impacts on the environment, and providing a much better service to our customer. In order to drive innovation, we felt it's important to set goals, but not just incremental goals, but aspirational goals. Things like no accidents, no pollution incidents. We've got this interesting goal here around embodied carbon, which is about the amount of carbon that's used to build new assets. We invest about £2 billion over 5 years building new assets, new pumping stations, new treatment works, etc. And what we found is that over the last 5 years, we had a target of 50%, which means you have to use different materials. So you have to stop pouring concrete, you have to stop using materials from long distances. And what we found is that we actually reduced our cost base. 90% of projects that helped us achieve the 50% reduction reduced cost as well. And you might say, well, why didn't you just do that in the first place? But the point is the aspirational goal caused us to drive innovation. So our thinking has gone more towards aspirational goal-led innovation. I've already covered that one. So, obviously, we feel innovation is the only way to get customer bills down. I think over the next 5 years, Anglian Water's bills are actually falling by 10%. It's the first time, I think, ever we've had a reduction in cost. And we've got all these increasing pressures. So innovation's the only way we can achieve that. And we've moved from this concept of having a central R&D team. My team used to be 50 people. And we used to spend a similar amount of money to what we do now, but we used to do it all ourselves. We used to have labs, we used to have innovation centres, we used to do trials, we used to get new stuff, and once we proved a new concept, we'd try and go out and sell it. And we didn't do that well. So we've changed. We thought, well, why not engage people? Why not engage the end user? Why not engage stakeholders? Why not engage different companies up front when we've got a particular challenge? So we reduced the size of the innovation team to something like 12 people, but we brought in different skills. So we went away from scientists, technologists, more towards people who can do stakeholder management and manage different groups of people. And we found that we've delivered a lot more benefit by taking that approach. And ultimately, we want to involve our customers in the innovation process as well. So our overall innovation strategy, it kind of goes like this. We've still got a core innovation program where we invest in technology, innovation, assets, operational stuff, because that's the really backbone of our industry. And investing £8 million over the last 5 years, we've demonstrated a £23 million net benefit. That's capital and operational cost savings. So we're very proud of that, and that's our more traditional innovation program. The difference is, I guess, we do it more in collaboration with external companies rather than doing it with a central team. And then we've got this thing called the Water Innovation Network, where we've engaged with over 700 organisations externally. I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But this is about engaging with our supply chain, external contractors, consultants, universities, other industries, etc. And not to forget, we've got 4,000 people who actually work for us. And they've got good ideas too. And over the years, we've tried all kinds of things, suggestion schemes and, things with massive administrative burden, where we've had teams of people, wading through forms and stuff like that. So this is where the sort of crowdsourcing thinking's come in more, here and here. And also we've got 5 million customers in the Anglian region, that region I talked about, 5 million customers. And I'm sure some of those guys have got good ideas too. So our innovation strategy is about keeping this core program, core investment, engaging with the supply chain and other industries, engaging with our own 4,000 staff, and then getting customers involved in innovation projects as well. So if you can do all that, we feel, in terms of water companies, we'll be miles ahead. So why do we want to engage our workforce? Well, I mean, it's a massive area. We've got people out in the field, people who never see us. So we've massive untapped potential. And it'll engage people to solve specific challenges. So we want to make it a challenge-led thing. And ultimately a place where people actually want to stay at Anglian Water. It helps us identify talent and bring people in from outside. If they hear we're doing all this brilliant stuff, they'll want to come and work for us. And obviously it grows our skills and knowledge. But really it's about an inspirational community and a culture of innovation. But the water industry historically has been quite conservative. Plus we've got regulators, we've got the Environment Agency, we've got the Drinking Water Inspectorate, Ofwat, all these people sort of monitor us and checking us. And it's sometimes very difficult when it's not a growth business, it's more a driving cost down business. It's often difficult to create a community of innovation. But we feel by having that overall strategy and engaging people, that's the way to sort of tip the balance.
Steve, is it the deregulation that's driving a lot of this thinking kind of upcoming deregulation?
Not really. You're talking about separation, the retail wholesale separation. I mean, that's starting in 2017. It's a very small part of our business. It's just our industrial customers. And that will actually go out into a competitive market. In terms of our overall turnover, it's quite a small amount. But it could be the start of something where other parts of the business get split off. I think in time that will start to drive more innovation too. The key thing that's driving us at the moment is customer bills. We've engaged our customers much more than we used to. We used to pride ourselves on being an invisible service. You know, customers don't want to know where water comes from. When they empty the bath, they don't want to know where it goes. But we've turned that around, and we have discussions like this with customers, and they tell us, you know, what's important to them. Because the leakage, if you look at all the water that's treated in the UK, 21% of it leaks out of the pipes, which is a huge proportion. Anglian water's something like 17%, so we thought we were really good at leakage. And then we engage our customers, they say, well, you're rubbish. We're paying you this money and you're losing 17% of it. And we used to have this excuse called economic level of leakage. So anything below a certain number, it wasn't worth investing in. But we've changed that now. We've now got a target of zero leakage. So our customers are starting to drive the innovation. Crowdsourcing. This is still new to me. So it's still a kind of a new way of thinking. But we recognise that having an online community and using technology can be really powerful and take a lot of the administrative tasks out of ideas management. Clearly there are people who do that kind of stuff more readily and you know, I suppose there's a view that, oh, it's just young people can do it and you know, old people like me forget it. But I think we can all change. And I like to call our approach more open innovation. So it's innovation where we're open about our challenges. You know, one of the challenges might be zero leakage. How are we going to do it? Rather than saying, let's have your good idea. And I like this way, idea that the crowd can actually do some of the ideas management, that they can vote and comment, and you can get sort of best ideas bubbling up to the top without having a team of people filtering through paper forms. And I guess ultimately it should be low cost, because you're not really spending lots of time and effort trawling through Google or doing market intelligence. You're just basically putting an idea out there and using a system. And we're starting to see some benefits from that already. I talked about... Sorry,
Mike from Connecting.
Hi.
I think we are where you were with that 90-year generation scheme, which is, as a huge administrative version, as you say, it's single ideas, almost proverbial isolation. We don't suffer from a lack of expertise, I'm sure you don't, but it's very stovepiped in different parts of the business. Was collaboration between different parts of your business a key in what you were trying to do?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got 4,000 people in the company, and we are still a little bit siloed. So our operational colleagues, they do a different job, and they've got different incentives compared to the asset management team, or the HR team, or the finance team. So although we are becoming more sort of one team, one vision, there are still different cultures within our organisation. So we're trying to hopefully do that. Where we started with crowdsourcing, it was actually externally. We've created this thing called the Water Innovation Network that's been hugely successful. On one hand, it's about holding events where we talk openly about our challenges. So, you know, that one might be, well, as a company, we're actually running out of water. Or we've got massive flooding problems, how are we going to cope with it? And being really honest about that. So every quarter we have a big event, say 100, 150 people come along, and we'll do workshops, we'll talk about our challenges. And it allows small companies, innovative companies that usually find it really difficult to get into large companies. It's kind of the elephant and flea, you know, the small companies, because of our supply chain approaches. We often go for big, well-established companies, long, big track record. And some of these newer companies find it hard to break in. So the Water Innovation Network's been great at engaging those companies. On the other hand, it's also about ideas management. So companies that have got an innovation, they can fill a form in. So they go online, fill a form in. And this is a bit more traditional crowdsourcing. And basically every month we sit down around a table like this and we look at a bunch of forms. It could be between 10 and 30. So we're still getting a good rate of return. But then we decide who in the business is the right person to send that idea to. And it works. We've got, you know, after a couple of years, we've got about 15 ideas in the business actually being used. But this can move on. I'm sure this can be made, you know, an internet-based thing. So the next thing I'm going to talk about, ultimately we want to integrate this into that as well. So it's a bit clunky, but it is open innovation. It has engaged the outside world. And we are seeing some massive benefits. And we've done it in partnership with a local company called Opportunity Peterborough, who help new businesses get off the ground. They can help them with funding, with finding premises to work, give them advice. So it's been a good partnership. But you can see that online, Water Innovation Network. And this is just an example of something that came through the Water Innovation Network. We've got 90,000 kilometres of sewers in our region, which goes around the world a number of times. So it's huge lengths of pipes. And we have real problems with these pipes. They let water in, which is called infiltration. It's the opposite to leakage, I guess. These are sewers, remember, not water pipes. And we also get companies illegally connecting to our sewers. So you get a factory that just sort of discharges some effluent every day and connects. So this brilliant idea is like a fibre optic that we actually put down the sewers. You can have a couple of 100 metres of this stuff. And it'll pick up temperature changes in the water along the sewer. So if you've got an illegal connection coming in, there'll be a change in temperature. Or you've got a burst in the pipe that's water's coming in. So along the length of the pipe, at different times, you get a colour represents the temperature. So at this length of pipe, at a certain time of the week, somebody's actually putting water in a different temperature. So it's allowed us to identify things like that. But it's a really clever idea. And that came through the Water Innovation Network. And these are the things we thought about when we put our crowdsourcing pilot together. Who's the crowd? You know, it's everyone in the company. You know, we want ideas to develop. We want the system to highlight the best ideas. So we want the crowd to actually do the work as much as possible. Am I doing okay for time?
Yes.
Yeah. Experts. With the Water Innovation Network, we've got a group of experts together to try and assess ideas, but I'm always nervous about getting experts involved too early. So I think the more you can involve a crowd, you don't quite know who's involved, and there's probably somebody who knows more than a so-called expert. So I think there's always a stage where you bring an expert in, and that's something we're learning as well. And leadership. I'm realising now that our directors, it's so important to engage them. And I met a company a number of weeks back, a German-based company that do crowdsourcing. But they've got big challenges like Angling Water. But they actually get their directors to judge the best idea. And they have this massive event and it's high profile. And we haven't actually done that. Ours has been more bottom up. So I think there's some scope to bring our leaders in without dictating the thing. So there's obviously some dilemmas there. And obviously they'll provide inspiration for people.
Do you have an example, Steve, where you've sort of let the crowd vote? What sort of ideas or thinking?
Yep, I've coming on to that. Yep. These are just some these are typical challenges in the water industry. I'm not going into too much detail, but you know, we need smarter networks. We need low-cost treatment processes, new sources of water, whether it's from the sea or a neighbouring water company, whatever. So there are a number of challenges that we've actually thrown out there. So we've worked with Wazoku and developed this. This is for internal people, a thing called ThinkSpace. So rather than having a light bulb, which is on every innovation logo in the world, we thought, let's do something different. So we've gone for this bright spark theme with the colours of our Love Every Drop strategy, so it fits quite nicely. So we're going to try and make, it's probably not an app, it's more like an icon that you put on your phone. So anybody in the company can get this on their phone and say, I've got a great idea. So we're trying to make it as easy as that. But ThinkSpace is what we've called it. And it kind of looks like this on the screen. We've got a number of challenges that we've thrown out to the business. There's one on here. Actually, it's down here. Actually, you can't see it. But we've got, how do we stop our treatment works shutting down? How do we reduce costs in our drinking water, water recycling and wastewater? How can we reduce costs there? How can we work together better? Your point. How can we actually work together as departments across our company? And we had another one on there, coming back to your challenge, what did we get? The first challenge, I thought we need a challenge that means something to everyone. So the first challenge we put out was, how can you help Anglian Water become a zero waste organisation? So whether you work in an office or on a treatment works or you do maintenance or work in finance, waste means something. We actually got about 60 ideas from that first challenge. And that's probably the best challenge we've put out. Some of these others, they're a bit more specific and they haven't worked as well. So I think we've learned something there. And we did get some really good ideas. So, people can put an idea in and then, you read so-and-so's comment, put your own comment in, and you sort of build this dialogue. And once you get that going, it's really interesting and it's quite engaging. The Zero Waste Challenge was there. But you can also look at what's the newest idea, what's the oldest, what's the most viewed, etc. When did people put in, what date? So there's different ways of looking at the information. And how many people have we got engaged now? 300?
Yeah, I think.
300, but about 400 people. So it's actually growing. You can see who's contributed to the discussion on a specific idea, who's been involved. This was a great idea from the Waste Challenge, because we do lots of construction and we do lots of groundwork. So if you build a new water treatment works, we might landscape it, put trees around it. We've got Rutland Water, Grafham Water, we're always planting trees. And up to recently, we've used these plastic tree protectors that look like that. And they end up with these plastic tubes littering the countryside. So this guy said, why don't we develop a biodegradable one? Simple idea. Oh yeah, it's a good idea. But they're actually, we've had this thing designed and it's cheaper and it's more environmentally friendly. So simple idea, but we've actually adopted it now right across the business to save money and reduce the impact on the environment. We also, from the Waste Challenge, we got another great idea to use heat and nutrients from our water recycling treatment process. And we're working with food growers to take the heat from that process into greenhouses to grow fruit, tomatoes, stuff like that. So good opportunity to work with other industries, but also to use what would normally be a waste product, heat, into something good. So there's some good ideas starting to come out. So we went with Wazoku. We felt that we could work very openly with Wazoku. They understood our business. We're still working together. We're still developing the system. And we actually set ourselves some targets, a financial return of, I think there's 100 grand or something to show benefits. I mean, the tree protectors helped us with that. We've just recently got another one on our electricity generation engines. Some guy put an idea through that saved us a load of money as well. So we've got that. We've also had a number of non-financial benefits, so carbon, environmental, PR type benefits. The level of engagement, we set ourselves a target for, a proportion of the business we want to engage with, and also another one on external recognition, just to kind of judge how well the pilot's gone. So we're coming up to that phase next. It was interesting because when we launched this, we thought, shall we do a big bang and have massive, Anglian news front page, this is great, this is ThinkSpace, or do we do it virally? And we decided to do it virally, and we just contacted 30 or 40 people that we knew, Generation Y types, people who would get into this, and we just put it out there, and it's just grown and grown and grown. But we've got to a point now where everybody's saying, well, what's this? This is ThinkSpace. So we're going to do a big launch. So it's kind of a combination of the two. So we're doing a big comms in March, and hopefully that will really kick it on with some new challenges. We also involved our graduate and apprentice community, and they helped us set up and design the system. We started, as I said, with about 40 employees, and we'll be rolling it out. This thing about recognition as well, we thought, well, do we pay people? So if you put an idea in, you get 20 quid. So we thought, well, maybe that's not the best way to do it. So we're going to try and recognise people, have a sort of idea of the month. Peter Simpson, our chief exec, said, no, John's come up with these fantastic ideas. This tree protector is great, helps the environment. So we're going to do it more through recognition. And we think that's the most important aspect of this whole thing. If we can't show that we're recognising people, then the thing will die. We know that. So that's absolutely key. Lots of benefits we're going to get from it. You can read those. But it's about recognising talent. And it reinforces our love every drop aspirations as a company. So the next steps. We like steering groups. We're quite a bureaucratic organisation. So you guessed it, we've actually got groups. So we've got a governance group where we get people from our apprentice pool sitting alongside directors, senior managers, setting challenges, setting strategy, looking at recognition, things like that. And then the bit we found the hardest with all this is actually looking at the ideas and chasing them down. We're still trying to get that better. So we're going to set up this ideas management group. So I've gone out to the business and said, we're setting up this group. We want to share the burden of chasing these ideas. And we've got a massive response. We've got about 30 people come back and say, well, I want to sit on this group, which is great. So these two groups we see working together. We're going to launch this idea of the month concept, involve our directors more leadership. And our next step is to look at the benefits to see if our pilot's been successful, so we can continue and roll it out company-wide.
Steve, how long has the viral approach been going before you decided now to...
We did it for about 6 months.
Okay.
5 months, 6 months. Ultimately, once we've got this ThinkSpace established, we want to bring the Water Innovation Network in, so we expand the community, and also bring other industries in. We've had a number of events over the last couple of years with agriculture, food, power industry, lots of industries where there's a kind of common water theme, and we want to engage them and learn from them more. So we think this is a way to do that as well. And ultimately bring our customers in. Because I still get phone calls directly from Jack, who works in his shed, and he's got this fantastic water-saving idea, and I'll drive down to Essex and have a cup of tea with him. So this might be a better way to engage customers. And, let's get it on smartphones, because half of our people haven't actually got access to computers. A lot of them out in the field, and they've got tough books and quite clunky old technology. So we think the smartphone app icon will be a great next step. And that's where we've got to. So, thank you.